Every life is a story, every moment a chapter. Here on Slow English Stories, we pause to listen.
Welcome to Slow English Stories.
Today we have a classic German fairy tale.
It is a story about three brothers.
Three magical gifts.
And a very, very clever goat.
In a small town there lived a tailor. His street smelled of rain and damp wool. His house was small. It had only one window in his workshop. The window looked out onto a muddy road.
Inside, the air was filled with smells. The scent of chalk. And the smell of old fabric.
The tailor was a good man. But life was very hard. His face was a map of worries. He had 3 sons. They were good boys. But the family had very little money.
Their only real treasure was a single goat. This goat was special. Every day, she gave them rich, creamy milk. This milk was their food.
The goat was very important. The tailor told his sons a rule. She must always have the best grass and the freshest herbs to eat.
The sons took turns taking the goat to the pasture. One day, it was the eldest son's turn. He was a kind boy, and he loved his father.
He led the goat to a special place, not just a simple field. He took her to the churchyard. The grass there was soft and green. Sweet herbs grew between the old stones.
The goat ate and ate all day long. In the evening, the sun was low. The sky was turning orange. The son asked, "Goat, have you had enough to eat?"
The goat looked at him with her clever yellow eyes. She said in a little rhyming voice, "I have eaten so much. Not a leaf more I'll touch. Meh, meh."
The son smiled. He was happy the goat was full. He led her home. He put her in her little stable.
A few minutes later, the tailor came down. He looked at his son. He asked, "Did the goat have enough food today?" "Oh, yes, father," the son said proudly. "She ate so much. She said she could not touch another leaf."
But the tailor wanted to be sure. He went to the stable himself. He stroked the goat's soft back. He said, "My dear goat, are you really full?"
The goat looked up at the tailor. Her expression was completely different. She shook her head sadly and said, "How can I be full? There was nothing to pull. I looked all around, but no food could be found. Meh, meh."
The tailor's face turned red with anger. He could not believe his ears. He stormed back into the house. He went up to his son's room. "You liar," he shouted.
"You told me the goat was full, but she is hungry. You were lazy." In his anger, he grabbed his wooden yardstick. It was a tool for measuring cloth. But now it was a weapon.
He hit the boy. He drove him out of the house, out into the dark street. "Go," he cried. "I don't want to see you again."
The next day, it was the second son's turn. He was a careful boy. He wanted to do a better job than his brother. He took the goat to a beautiful garden hedge. The leaves there were juicy and green.
The goat ate happily. She chewed every last leaf she could reach. At the end of the day, the sun asked, "Goat, are you satisfied now?" The goat answered in her sweet, rhyming voice, "I have eaten so much, not a leaf more I'll touch. Meh meh."
The second son led her home, feeling confident. His father asked if the goat was fed. He said, "Yes, father." She ate all the best leaves from the garden hedge.
The tailor nodded, but he still went to the stable to check. "My dear goat," he said softly, "are you truly full?" And the goat, with a sad look in her eyes, replied, "How can I be full? There was nothing to pull. I looked all around, but no food could be found. Meh, meh."
The tailor's anger returned, hotter than before. He ran into the house. He took his yardstick, and he drove his second son out into the world, just as he had done to the first.
On the third day, it was the youngest son's turn. He was determined to succeed. He found a place full of the sweetest plants, the most delicious plants a goat could ever want.
He watched her eat all day. In the evening, he asked the question, "Goat, have you had enough?" And the goat gave her usual answer, "I have eaten so much, not a leaf more I'll touch. Meh meh."
The youngest son brought her home. But when the tailor asked the goat his question, the animal gave him the same sad, lying answer. The tailor, blind with fury, chased his third and final son from the house with the yardstick.
Now the tailor was all alone. The next morning, a deep sadness filled the house. He went to the stable. "Come, my dear animal," he said gently. "Today, I will take you to the pasture myself."
He led her to the greenest fields. He let her eat the best herbs. At the end of the day, he looked at the full, happy animal. He asked, "Goat, have you had enough?"
And the goat replied, "I have eaten so much, not a leaf more I'll touch. Meh meh." The tailor smiled and led her home. Before he left the stable, he said, "So, you are finally satisfied."
But the goat just looked at him and said, "How can I be full? There was nothing to pull. I looked all around, but no food could be found. Meh, meh."
The tailor stood frozen. In that moment, he understood everything. The goat was a liar, a wicked, clever trickster animal. And he, in his anger, had believed her. He had sent his 3 innocent sons away.
A terrible shame washed over him. This was followed by a hot, burning rage. "You ungrateful creature," he shouted.
He ran into his workshop. He did not grab the yardstick. He grabbed his sharp razor. He held the goat, lathered her head with soap, and shaved all her hair off. Her head was as smooth as the palm of his hand.
Then he took a whip, and he chased her out of the town. The goat, ashamed of her bald head, ran and ran. She was never seen by the tailor again.
The tailor sat alone in his silent workshop. The threads and needles lay still. His heart was heavy with regret. He missed his boys more than anything in the world.
The three sons had to find their own way. The eldest son walked for many days. He came to a town with a famous joiner, a man who made beautiful things from wood. The boy asked to be his apprentice. For a year he worked hard.
When the year was over, his master was very pleased. "You have been a good student," he said. "I cannot give you money, but I have a gift for you." He gave the boy a small, simple wooden table. It did not look special.
"It is a special table," the master explained. "When you are hungry, just put it down and say, 'Table, be set.' You will see."
The son thanked him and began his journey home. Whenever he was hungry, he would stop. He put the little table on the ground. He said, "Table, be set."
Instantly, a clean white cloth appeared on it. Then a plate, a knife, and a fork. Then came delicious food. Hot soup, roasted meat, fresh bread, and a glass of shining red wine.
The boy was amazed and happy. He knew his father would be so proud. On his way home, he stopped at an inn for the night. The inn was full of people.
The son wanted to share his good fortune. He put his little table in the middle of the room. He said loudly, "Table, be set." In a moment, the table was covered with wonderful food. Everyone stared.
The son invited them all to eat with him. The innkeeper watched from the corner. His eyes were narrow with greed. He had never seen such a thing.
That night, while the son was sleeping, the innkeeper crept into his room. He took the magic table. He replaced it with an ordinary table. It looked exactly the same.
The next morning, the son paid for his room. He picked up the table and continued his journey. He arrived home at midday. His father saw him coming and ran out. His eyes were filled with tears of joy.
"Father," said the boy, "I have become a joiner." "A good trade," said the old man. "And what have you brought with you?" "The best thing of all," the son replied. "I have brought this table."
"But father, it is a magic table. It covers itself with a feast. Let us invite all our friends and family. We will have a great celebration."
When the guests arrived, the son placed the table in the center of the room. He smiled and said, "Table, be set." But nothing happened. The table remained empty and bare.
The guests began to laugh. They thought it was a foolish joke. The son's face burned with shame. His father was not angry. He was only deeply disappointed.
Meanwhile, the second son had found work with a miller. For a year he worked hard. He ground grain into flour.
When his time was finished, the miller said, "You have served me well. I have a special gift for you." He led the son to the stable and showed him a donkey. "This is no ordinary donkey," the miller said.
"When you say the word bricklebrit, he will give you gold." The son was confused. But he thanked his master and started for home with the donkey.
When he needed money, he decided to test the miller's words. He spread a cloth on the ground, and he said clearly, "Bricklebrit."
At once, the donkey opened its mouth. Gold coins fell out onto the cloth. Then it lifted its tail, and more gold coins dropped from behind. The son laughed with delight. He was rich.
He could finally end his father's worries. On his journey, he came to the very same inn. The same inn where his brother had stayed. The innkeeper saw the boy with his donkey, and he offered him a room.
The son wanted to show off his amazing animal. He told the innkeeper he could pay with gold. The innkeeper's greedy ears perked up. He secretly watched through a crack in the stable door. He saw the son say "Bricklebrit," and a shower of gold coins fell to the ground.
That night, he snuck into the stable. He took the magic donkey, and he put a normal donkey in its place.
The next morning, the son continued his journey. He did not know he had been robbed. He arrived home. His father was overjoyed to see him.
"I have worked for a miller, father, and I have brought back a treasure," he announced. "This donkey makes gold." The father's eyes widened with hope. Once again, they invited all their relatives.
The son put a large cloth on the floor. "Now watch," he said, and he shouted, "Bricklebrit." Everyone leaned forward. But the donkey just stood there. It did not produce a single gold coin.
All it produced was what normal donkeys produce. It fell onto the clean cloth. The guests gasped, then roared with laughter. The second son stood in shock and shame. The old tailor's heart broke for a second time.
The third son had gone to work for a woodturner. It was a difficult trade. He worked for a long time, longer than his brothers. During these years, he received letters from his brothers. They told him their sad stories about the magic gifts and the dishonest innkeeper.
When it was time for him to leave, his master gave him a gift. It was a simple cloth sack. "What is inside?" the son asked. "Inside is a cudgel, a heavy wooden stick," said the master.
It is very powerful. If someone tries to harm you, just say, "Cudgel," out of the sack. The stick will jump out and teach them a lesson. It will not stop until you say, "Cudgel in the sack."
The son felt the weight of the sack. It was not a gift of comfort, but a gift of power. He thanked his master and set off. He knew exactly where he was going. He walked until he arrived at the same inn.
He sat down at a table, the sack on the floor beside him. He did not boast about what was inside. When the innkeeper asked him about his travels, the son spoke quietly about a great treasure he carried, something more valuable than food or gold.
That night, the innkeeper waited. He imagined the sack was full of diamonds or jewels. He crept into the youngest son's room. The son was pretending to be asleep, but one eye was open in the dark.
The innkeeper's greedy hands touched the sack. Just as he was about to lift it, the son's voice cut through the silence. "Cudgel, out of the sack."
Like lightning, the wooden cudgel flew out of the sack. It began to beat the innkeeper. Thump, whack, thump. The stick danced in the air. It hit his back, his legs, his arms.
The innkeeper cried out in pain and surprise. He tried to run, but the cudgel followed him. It was a chaotic, noisy dance of justice. "Stop. Please stop," the innkeeper begged.
"Not until you return what you have stolen," the son said calmly. "Give back my brother's wishing table. And my other brother's gold ass. Yes, yes, I will give them back. Anything," the innkeeper cried.
The son smiled. "Cudgel in the sack," he commanded. The stick immediately stopped. It flew back into the sack. The next morning, a bruised innkeeper returned the real wishing table and the true gold ass.
The youngest son took all three treasures: the table of plenty, the donkey of wealth, and the sack of justice. Finally, he went home.
He found his father in the workshop. He was old and sad, slowly stitching a piece of cloth. When the tailor saw his youngest son, his face lit up with a fragile joy.
The son did not boast. He sat down and told his father the whole story. He told him about the joiner's table and the miller's donkey. He explained how his brothers had been tricked, and how he had used his gift to get everything back.
Then, the son placed the small wooden table in the middle of the room. "Table, be set," he said softly. In an instant, it was covered with a wonderful feast.
He led the donkey in. He placed a cloth on the floor. "Bricklebrit," he said. A river of shiny gold coins poured out. The father laughed, a real happy laugh for the first time in years.
They hung the sack with the cudgel on the wall. A silent guardian, its work now done. The family was together again. Not just healed, but whole and secure.
They invited all their friends and relatives. This time for a true celebration. And this time there was no shame. There was only joy.
And what of the goat, the cause of all the trouble? After she was shaved, she ran to the forest. Ashamed of her bare head, she found a fox's hole and hid inside.
Soon the fox came home. He saw two big, shining eyes staring back. He was terrified and ran away. He met a bear who also went to look. But he too saw the glittering eyes and ran away in fear.
Finally, they met a bee. The bee said, "I am small, but I can help." The bee flew into the fox's hole, and it saw the goat.
It flew right to her bare, shaved head, and it stung her hard. The goat leaped up with a loud meh. She ran out of the hole like a mad thing.
She ran and ran, far away into the world. And from that day to this, no one has ever seen her again.
Justice, in the end, found everyone.
The family was restored, and the liar was punished.
Thank you for listening to Slow English Stories.
We hope you join us for our next tale.